Hey everybody, welcome back to Celebrity Politics, the show. I'm Danielle.
And from behind the camera, I'm Josh. We've taken some time off this summer, but politics has not.
So join us with our co-hosts, Richard, Rachel, and Jeff, while we discuss the top 10 political stories that you may have missed while you're at camp.
So after the 2019 federal election, Andrew Scheer announced that he would not be continuing on as leader, deciding to cut his losses, make a run for it, launching the most expensive leadership race in Canadian history with a $300,000 price tag. Originally, it seemed like Peter McKay was the sure thing. And even going to the first round of voting at the leadership convention, McKay had a slight advantage on O'Toole. By the second and third ballots, O'Toole became the clear winner. So now we are in an Erin O'Toole Conservative Party. We've seen him sort of out making the rounds already. He's been in Quebec. He's had long conversations with Jason Kenney. We'll talk a little bit more about that in another video. But guys, what do we think about this?
Well, I think that anyone who underestimated Jason Kenney's impact on the race found out where the gravity is in the Conservative Party right now. Obviously, Jason Kenney backed Erin O'Toole, which is why, at the end, Erin O'Toole won. And also interesting from the other place where there's a lot of gravity in the Conservative Party right now is Doug Ford. And Doug Ford sat it out. So Doug Ford sitting it out left a vacuum in the East. Erin O'Toole had Kenney in the West. But I don't know, Rachel, did you see any of Leslyn Lewis at all? That was her race as a before now completely unknown, but kind of compelling, interesting Black female Conservative Party candidate who's courting, of all things, social conservative voters. Really kind of took away the story of this election, even to the point where it was a bigger story almost than who won, was how well Leslyn Lewis did. Did you see any of that?
I wasn't following that one super closely throughout the summer, but I will say, of course, paying attention to the fact that, yeah, there was a Black female candidate running for the Conservative Party. So always hurrah for women in politics. And yeah, I would have been thrilled if she'd made it through as leader, not perhaps as a liberal, but for women in politics in general. But I think that's a step that would have been too controversial for the Conservative Party right now. I think they wanted to back someone who is a little more middle of the road boring, which they tend to do. I think McKay, O'Toole, whatever, step up from Scheer, not friggin' hard. I think either could have been reasonably appealing to the Conservative base. I think that either could have touted in their campaigns, or which I'm sure O'Toole will do, about, the Liberals spend too much money. I just, Peter McKay, I've had a little bit of, a kick out of that one, because his campaign's in like $1 million deficit right now. And it took him 2 seconds after the last election to say that Scheer's election performance was similar to a hockey player scoring on an empty net. And I feel like he kind of shit the bed himself there. So McKay, you suck. And hats off to Leslyn Lewis. Is kind of, even though O'Toole made it, I definitely think that her running is something that, yes, Richard should have and was talked about.
Peter McKay, it's sort of like letting your old pet go. Like, just, it's all right. It's okay, Peter. We love you, but you can rest now. It's okay. You've done your best, and we all understand. Like, it's just, I think that one thing that we're going to have to explore is how Erin O'Toole is received here in Northern Ontario in Sudbury. My assumption was that most of the Tory establishment here was backing McKay. Or if they were on the outside extreme, they might have been backing Derek Sloan. So you have these sort of two camps, right? They both, you know, you've got the conservative, the sort of moderate wing of the Conservative Party, which Peter McKay was championing, and then the opposite end of that was my old home riding MP Derek Sloan. We've talked about him on the show before, and I'm definitely going to do anything that I can to make sure that he's no longer an MP. But he is now Erin O'Toole's problem, and it's something that we can talk about in another segment of our catch-up show. Josh, what do you think the Northerners are going to think about O'Toole over McKay?
I don't know if he's going to gain much traction. He's putting a lot of energy already into Quebec, and
because his French is so great.
Yeah, but backing a move that's so controversial to the rest of the country, which be Bill 101 and secular expansion in Quebec, that's not popular in the rest of the country, but is huge there. So he might build his voter base there. I just don't know that the North is going to be in his pocket in the next couple of years. Not enough to make a difference.
Sorry. I just feel, Scheer didn't suck so bad last time. People wanted to change. The Conservatives would have won. I feel like regardless of how meh the leader is this time around, as long as they're not too out there, like Richard Derek Sloan probably wouldn't have been the good choice for leader. I feel like if people want to change, they're going to vote for the change, and it's not who's heading it that's going to matter that most.
Well, in credit where credit's due to Leslyn Lewis, she did outperform Derek Sloan on the first ballot by like 6%. So
she did great. Yeah. I
mean,
she wasn't, and you know what? Where it was really fascinating for her. I mean, I think that most analysts were predicting McKay to win and Leslyn Lewis to do much worse than she did. I think O'Toole outperformed in Eastern Canada compared to what he was expected to do. And I think Leslyn Lewis was the huge surprise in Saskatchewan, of all places, who just seemed to be in love with this, socially conservative Black woman from Ontario. That is a sentence I was never expecting to say. But it is 2020, and these are very strange times. Last word to you, Josh. What is there anything other than O'Toole winning that we could take away from that race?
Does it really matter? A new Conservative leader, another old-ish bald white man heading a party in this country. Will it really turn the tide to the Conservative Party against a Trudeau or a Freeland government in the next election?
And the death. I mean, so Peter McKay. There's my thinking on that too. Is that one of the lasting things is that the old guard progressive conservative no longer has any power in this country. That it is what used to be one of our central power bases is essentially gone. And we'll see what Erin O'Toole does with that, because we'll talk about that in another segment. Yeah.
Rachel, any last thoughts?
Go Leslyn Lewis.
But not really.
Not really, but.
Women in politics, yay. Conservatives, no.
Yep. Story of my life. Well, not that there's usually that many. There's not usually women in the Conservative Party of Canada leadership race. So, yeah, we'll leave it there.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Those are some great points. Now we're going to pass this over to you. Does this matter? Is it important? Tell us why or why not in the comments below.
Be sure to like and subscribe. And stay tuned for the next installment in Sudbury Politics, the show's top 10 political stories you missed this summer while at camp.